cookies offer that little something extra, especially in a bakery window or on a cookie plate. And now that you've got the skills down for a basic sandwich cookie, you're ready to move up into the next level, a classic Almond Linzer cookie. Now, what makes a Linzer cookie a little different is it uses ground nuts in the dough and has a jam filling. So let's start with that cookie dough that starts out in the same manner as the chocolate vanilla sandwich cookies. I've got a cup of unsalted butter that I've just beaten a little bit to soften. And then I add a cup and a half of icing sugar. Just like the cocoa powder in the first recipe, you always have to sift. Because it's finely ground, the icing sugar lends a slightly more delicate, almost sandy texture to the Linzer dough. There we go. Now that that's light and fluffy, I can add 4 egg yolks, a teaspoon of vanilla, and because these are almond Linzers, I'll add just a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. And just a little bit of lemon zest, I find, really brings all the flavors together. Now I'll add 3/4 of a cup of ground almonds. Make the texture too fine. Now, 3 cups of cake and pastry flour. Consistent with the first recipe, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll add this all at once and just mix it until it's blended. I'm just going to scrape it onto 2 pieces of plastic wrap. I'm not even going to handle it with my hands at this point because it is so soft. So this definitely has to go into the fridge to chill until firm. All right. So just like the chocolate dough, I want to take a moment, knead the dough to soften it so it's easier to roll. Even though I've used cake and pastry flour in the cookie dough itself, I always roll using all-purpose flour so that it doesn't absorb too quickly into the dough. Okay, got my baking trays. And now, when making a sandwich cookie like a Linzer cookie, you can get creative with the style of cutter you want. You can use a traditional round, a fluted round, or opt for something special like a teardrop shape. The tip to keep in mind for the inside cutter is to make sure it's not too close in size to the larger one. First, I'll cut out the bases, so the whole teardrop shape intact. And there we go. Now, I bake the bottoms of the Linzer cookies separate from the top part of the sandwich. Because the top part now, I cut out the same base teardrop shape, but then you have to do the inside cutout. And you want to make sure you center it, like so. And then the little cutout can get re-rolled into the next round. Or you can even change up the shape. You want to move that top sandwich cutout carefully because it is a little more fragile. There we go. These are ready for the oven, 375, for about 15 minutes. But keep your eye on the tops, especially those last couple minutes. Because of the cutout hole, they can brown a little faster. Lovely. Just a nice light golden brown around the edges. Let these cool. And I have some already completely cooled. Jam is the classic Linzer filling. Before I start assembling, for the finishing touch, classic to a Linzer cookie, is to have a dusting of icing sugar. So while my tops are still on the tray, I'll give them a little dusting to completely cover them. And I love the combination of blueberry and almond. So I'm using blueberry jam to fill these cookies. Now keep in mind, it's tempting to put jam on this side of the cookie, but this is the part you want on the outside. So the bottom of the cookie is where you put the jam. Just about a teaspoonful, and spread it not quite to the edges. And then look how beautifully these match up. And you've got a perfectly assembled Linzer cookie. Just to show you the delicate snap. You can really see why a Linzer cookie is a bakery favorite.